Episode 1 of Meet the Homies. Get to know CryptoAddict and A5 Crypto.
What's up, YouTube? As you
What's up,
know,
guys?
this is A5 Crypto,
CryptoAddict here.
and in this series, as you have heard earlier, we're just gonna kind of bring about this new type of couple episodes here, and just kind of bring light to certain individuals in the VEVE community and hear everyone's story on how they came across VEVE. And yeah, that's pretty much all we're going to do for these next upcoming series. So it's going to be super exciting. We have a bunch of great guests lined up. But first, I think we're just going to start with each other, right?
Yeah, but before we get into that, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to us, guys. Show us some love, give some support. Let us know if you enjoy these type of series. But yeah, we're just trying to share the community behind VEVE to the world. So just gonna slowly, bring up people, whether it be from YouTube, if you're from Twitter Spaces, if you're from Instagram, if you're from TikTok, if you're an OMI homie, we want to get you on the show, and we just want to share like your story to the world. That's the point of this series, and that's why we're calling it Meet the Homies.
Meet the homies. All right,
For sure.
let's go ahead and. All right, shall we start this?
Yeah, let's go. It's about us this time. It's kind of awkward. We got to talk about ourselves.
Yeah, I figured, but let's go ahead and do it. So I'll ask you the question first, Crypto Addict. So tell us, what were your hobbies growing up and your current hobbies now before coming into the VV space?
Man, current hobbies growing up, like as a kid growing up, I would say it didn't seem like it, but I really did not get a lot. Um, we were not wealthy or anything. We were very poor growing up, and for me, I've kind of learned a lot of my traits now, and that's because I didn't have much. So like my hobbies were like I enjoyed playing with toys, and when I say toys, like I didn't have like action figures or anything like that. I went outside, I got two pairs of sticks, and I played with sticks like they were my toys. Like that's what I did growing up. I played with toys, and eventually I got into getting into like middle school and growing up. I started getting into like gaming, like on the computer gaming. I took keyboarding class. It was a new thing they started, was learning keyboarding, and that really helped me really get into computers and really be really great at working with computers. And that's kind of been my main hobby, is just computers and gaming and being involved with technology. That's been my thing. What about you?
Oh, cool. As for me growing up, my hobbies growing up, basically, I really enjoyed, the typical stuff like watching cartoons, playing video games. I could play video games on hours growing up, and my parents would just kind of give me, crap for not doing on my studies and stuff like that. I enjoyed collecting, whether it be like toys, certain action figures, as well as like trading cards. I also enjoyed playing sports growing up, and then hanging out with friends and just kind of talking about just like whatever was kind of cool, and the common interests. Whether that be like certain episodes of like cartoons that came up, or even like the latest shoes, or the latest like toys or video games. Just kind of talking about strategies on how to beat a certain level. And yeah, I don't know. I just felt like I really enjoyed those kind of things growing up, and to be honest, I still enjoy those kind of things, not so much just because I have certain responsibilities nowadays. But I do value, I still value them more so, just because that's what I was pretty much surrounded with growing up, So
Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah, and that's just kind of molded my like my world on how I view certain things, what I see valuable, and what really speaks to me in a certain way. So yeah.
Yeah, we've grown up together. We've known each other since we were little kids because our families
Hmm.
have grown up together, and yeah, we've done a lot of like playing sports. The thing is, like, it's always been hard for me because my parents never wanted me to play sports because they were afraid I would get injured. So it was always like, oh, don't play this, don't do that. Like I wasn't allowed to do any of that. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
kind of sucked. I couldn't. We didn't have like TVs, couldn't watch anything. So man, I was stuck playing with sticks and my fingers. Like I use my fingers as action figures. Like man, I was a bored. Like I look back at it, I'm like, man, I was a bored kid, but I made good use of my time.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, yeah, we did play with some random stuff outside, like like acorn fights and throw like peg each other or whatever, or like take our shoes and like hit a can. I don't know, like knock the can down with like flip flops. But yeah, I mean, luckily, growing up, you start to like try to, I guess, dive into like certain cool things, and whether it be in school, you meet new people and develop like common interests, and I guess you kind of save up money, right, and buy those kind of things, whether it be like
Yeah,
birthday allowances, whether it be birthday money or like allowances. We learn to invest in things that that we value a lot.
we're very frugal.
Yeah.
Like uh, it's actually made me a hoarder because having so little back then, whenever you get something, you appreciate it like so much more that you
Oh
just
yeah.
keep everything that you get. And I realized that like I keep boxes and I keep all my old toys. Like I'm always like more aware of like where my old toys are or whatnot. Like I'm just like more cautious of the things I have. It's kind of crazy. And in a way that actually made me a collector without knowing I'm a collector. I'm just like hoarding. Like I
Yeah. So
never saw myself
I
as a
guess you
collector.
yeah, I guess you can't be considered a hoarder now, right? You'd be calling yourself a collector
Yeah, I
instead
call
of a
myself a collector. It's like
gives a
what are all these boxes you have? You gotta throw these away. Like no, I collect them.
yeah, gives it kind of like a more positive yeah, light rather than like being a hoarder.
Yeah, for sure. So what sparked you to actually start YouTubing?
I mean, honestly, like I mean, when you and I kind of got together, just kind of like talking about certain ideas and trying to share with our friends, like, we already know like most of our friends didn't really care too much about what we had to say, but I guess we wanted to kind of, I felt like I wanted to be able to be a part of something bigger, and then I knew that there are people out there that valued my opinion or our opinion and stuff. So which is why I decided like, hey, well, why not start a YouTube channel, right? Like, who if someone wants to hear us out and listen to us, then great. But if they don't, then it's fine. At least we just wanted to try. Like pretty much this is like a just wanted to try and see what kind of value we could bring with our certain knowledge and our experiences to this kind of space, and just kind of being a part of it. Because I feel like we're still so early on in this whole VV thing, and I just wanted to be a part of it and make a kind of imprint and a mark in this kind of space in some way.
For sure, yeah. We're super
Yeah.
early
What
in
about
this
you?
still for
Same
sure.
thing, or what about you? What was your reason
Similar,
or what
yeah.
sparked you?
I've been in crypto. I always say I've been in crypto since 2013. I've been mining. I've been screwed. I've been, successful in a lot of different ways in this space, and I think I have a lot of knowledge. And I would say I'm really, really good at seeing how things play out. And I've always tried to explain it to people like, hey, you should do this because this is how it's going to be in the future. And, a lot of people look at me and they're like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's kind of dumb. And even back, like, when we went to like, let's go into the gym, like every night, I'd be like, hey guys, like, you should do mining. Like, I'm making, because at the time I did a little different when CPU mining was hotter. Like I was renting servers and I was using the servers I rented. and I was actually using those to mine. So I ended up renting a bunch of servers and making more money than I was paying to rent, and I ended up reinvesting it into more servers. And so I was getting a ton of servers where I was mining it, and eventually use that to buy miners. And yeah, it was like a whole thing. And I was like, hey, you guys should do this. Like, just rent out a server and you'll make more money back. And I remember just like calling me like the Bitcoin guy and like saying that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's all fake. That's a scam type stuff, you know. And any ideas I would bring up, like eventually even continuing on, you know, it's like, hey, like they start seeing like, man, like you're on to something. And they're like, next time you're on to something, let me know. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I'll let them know about the next big thing that I'm involved in. And they're like, I'm like, yeah, are you going to get into it? And they're like, you know, they kind of half-ass it and rethink about it. And then, you know, they kind of put it aside and never really dive into it. And I'm like, I started thinking like, man, like when you came to me like, hey, we should just do a YouTube channel, I was like, you know, that's a good platform. And how I am is like, you know, when I dedicate my time to something, you know, I'm really gonna dedicate my time into it. So I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I do think this is a good thing because I feel like I have so much that I can share based off my experiences. You know, like there's so many mistakes I've made that I feel like I can stop other people from making. And you know, just off of experience, I feel like I can provide a lot of information. And really like how I grinded to learn the information, if there's another mini me out there that just is like grinding and looking for information, you know, he may take what I say really to heart and really apply it in, you know, his, you know, quest to, you know, get to where he wants to be. And I feel like, you know, if I'm able to like touch one person or however many people, like that's enough for me. So I think like, yeah, man, just doing that and be able to share to people that actually want to listen is a good thing rather than trying to speak to people that have what you're saying come in one ear and out the other. It's kind of like, you know, I'm wasting my breath, you know? So this way, when you have people that are actually wanting to listen to what you have to say, it's much more impactful, you know? And not just that, like when I look back at it, maybe years down the line, I just be like, man, like this is like great documentation. It's like, man, like we were on to something big. Like, man, this is like the early phases of VV, and look at where we're at now. Like, it's good to reflect back on it at the same time. So yeah, I was totally down for it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, you know, just it's just the community, right? Like, there's just something about the VV community that really, like, you know, drew me in, and like,
Mm-hmm.
it was just such positive vibes, right? Like, you want to surround yourselves with people with like-minded and have the same kind of conviction and like and belief in like a certain product, rather than just going about it in alone, right? So which is one of the reasons why I like wanted to like be a part of this, right, and share that same kind of knowledge as well as like bounce ideas with other people in this space. So that just kind of sparked me just like really pushing forward, and you know, taking that leap of like, hey, just start a YouTube channel or whatever. You know, if people watch it, great, awesome. You know, if people don't, then you know, it is what it is. But at least I tried, right? So I think
Yeah, for sure.
that's what kind of like, because like it's not like a lose. You know, the only thing I'm technically what losing is what my time and my sacrifice on like certain things, but focusing on this. But the reward, you know, helping someone understand VV or helping someone out, you know, that's like, I think that's kind of rewarding in a way.
Yeah, this community is something completely different. You know, like I've I've been involved in like the NFT space and the crypto space, and I've invested in a lot of projects looking back to like Rareables and OpenSea and you know, actually going through like the Ethereum NFTs and looking into a lot of projects, and they were booming like crazy back then. Like back in, if you're looking back around like February and March, like everything was booming regardless of what project it was. But
Yeah.
you know, the market got really saturated, and that's crazy. Like now you just see everyone making copies of every project and saying it's unique. It's almost like how I saw it was like, it's almost like back in crypto when you see a bunch
Yeah.
of these altcoins coming out and everyone's like, this is the next Bitcoin, this is the next big thing, check it out, this is
Yeah.
black coin, we're
Yeah.
going to do something big. And it's like, you know, there's a lot of empty promises there, and there's roadmaps that people aren't able to execute on. And that's the
Yeah.
difference I see with VeVe is that, man, they're ahead of this. Like, not only do they have a roadmap, they're going through, they're executing, they're knocking down deals, they're doing big things,
Yeah.
and that's really caught my attention. I feel like I should have been in it sooner than I actually got into it, just because I was so involved in all of the other NFT projects that
Yeah.
I really did not consider VeVe as much. Just because I wasn't able to use crypto into the space, I had to use fiat. Like, I kind of put it aside, but getting to it, watching more YouTube videos, you start to see like the community is different here. Like, it is completely different. And I remember one time, I was in one of the AMAs, and man, I love Kenobi from Spaces. Man, he's the guy that got me into the Spaces, just because the guy came into the AMA, and that guy is like so full of energy, man. I really appreciate the energy he brings to the community. Like, I told him on Twitter, like man, I really love the energy. And after that, like, I just followed him into Spaces, and man, like the stuff you learn in Spaces, the people in the Spaces too, like it's crazy. The
Yeah.
community is crazy, and Spaces run twenty
Yeah.
four seven.
And then like it's different because like I've been in certain other like crypto communities, and um certain other crypto communities are, can get pretty toxic, you know, like,
Oh
but
yeah,
the VV community, I always get good vibes so far, thankfully. You know, and I haven't had any bad experience, you know, knock on wood, that has made me feel a certain way about people in this VV space. So far it's been positive, right? Like people that I've talked to, even like the big name folks, like they're super friendly and always helpful, and like helping other, you know, other people grow as well. So I mean, they're pretty realistic, right? With certain calls, they're not like saying like, oh, buy this, buy that, buy that. You know, like it's pretty realistic. They give like thorough analysis on like the reason why certain collectibles on the VV platform is valuable, right? Like they're valid. People do diligent research rather than just saying like, oh, this is gonna be 1,000x, just buy, you know, whatever.
they're not just pumping their own bags every time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it kind of it's kind of equal playing field in my opinion, right? Like, it's not like controlled by certain whales or whatever, for the most part, I believe.
Yeah,
So
the community is awesome, and that's why we want to do this. Like, we want to share like how awesome this community is. Like, it doesn't matter if you're from YouTube and you're a popular YouTuber, or you're a TikToker, or like I said, if you're on Instagram, or like if you're just someone from Spaces. Like, everyone has a story, man, and like,
yeah,
it's the community is amazing. Like, everyone needs to get heard. Everyone has something to share. Like, let's share it. Like, let's show the world how incredible the VV community is. Like, there's
yeah,
so
for
much
sure.
love. Like, there's spaces going on 24/7. Like, man, Randy is live on YouTube for hours. Like, the man doesn't sleep or something. He's going on
Yeah,
YouTube 24/7. Like, this community is crazy, man. I've never seen a community more passionate for a brand than for Vivi.
yeah, yeah. It'll be crazy. I'll be excited to see, you know, and look back on, you know, how far we've come. I'm just more so excited to see where this all takes us. So what do you think? What do you think you see VV in the next maybe 5 years?
5 years.
Yeah,
There's so much you can do in 5 years, man. 5 years. Vivi is going, like, I really think Vivi is in a direction that really the only thing that can stop them is themselves right now. They've put themselves in such a great position that they're almost like, in the NFT space when Ethereum introduced themselves, and it's like, smart contracts change the game. Like, Vivi is
oh
changing
yeah,
this game.
oh
Like, the
yeah,
way that Vivi is already like connected to all of these IPs, their team, like, it's so incredible that, man, this is this is a big company. It's a multi-billion-dollar company that's in the works here, and we're part of something special, man. Like we're only at the beginning, and I know they say it so many times. We're only at the beginning, and you watch these prices on some of these NFTs go up, and you're like, man, this is crazy. And I'm like, man, it's nothing compared to the potential of this platform in the future.
Yeah, for
In
sure,
five
man.
years, there's so much you can do. Like VV, they're they're their own marketplace. They're their own app. We're gonna have the VV verse in 5 years. I don't know how, because I mean development takes time, right? But the way they've been nailing like their roadmap, I know that they've missed deadlines, right? But that's normal. Like big companies miss deadlines. You know,
Right.
Tesla misses deadlines. Like technology is not easy to predict timelines because there's always things that come up. And for Vivi to still execute and still maintain like their first year, it's incredible. And to imagine 5 years from now, they're gonna be like the top NFT marketplace, man. Like Vivi, I know we're talking about Vivi getting integrated with IMX. Um, Vivi going to a web-based platform, Vivi has the capability to be their own OpenSea, their own IMX, because they have their own marketplace. You're putting this on now a browser, and you're allowing people to spend OMI on it. You're your own marketplace, with exclusively your items. So Vivi can get to that level because they have the user base for it. All of the projects on OpenSea, like you have the Bored Apes and you have like the Crypto Punks, like those are like your Todds, like your
Yeah.
Series One Batmans. Those are like your Supermans. Like each license is its own brand, and that's pretty much what they've become. It's crazy in a sense that this is only the beginning because they're going to add more IPs, and to them they describe it as a gift shop. So there's so much potential just in this market, and it's only a gift shop in what they're actually trying to accomplish. It's going to be crazy, man. In 5 years, we're looking at a ton of integration. I think the Vverse is not going to be complete 5 years. There's so much you can do with it, um, but I think it would be when we're looking at like Sandbox and Decentraland and stuff. I think the Vverse in 5 years is going to be miles ahead of that already. So there's so much more. I think Vivi would already exceed Sandbox and Decentraland, all the other metaverses. I think Vivi would be the top metaverse in 5 years from now.
Yeah, man, we'll see. I mean, hopefully they pull everything off. But I mean, it's VV's for sure something to not bet against, in my opinion. So yeah, I definitely see it going pretty far in 5 years, right? Because they've already accomplished so much even without major marketing, compared to like any other like platform or any other NFT project. As well as they have like better utility and, like you mentioned, like the IPs and the licensures, with big name, fandom, brands and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, like no other NFT project, has that kind of catalyst, behind their backs, So
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely
So
a blue
what?
chip. Yeah,
Well, the platform in
yeah, the
general, yeah,
platform. Yeah,
it's for
yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
When is let's say when did you get into VV? What is like your VV birthday when you started?
Uh, so I feel like I'm still an early noob, compared to the other VV OGs out there. I mean, you were the one that told me about VV, and at first I was kind of skeptical, right? Because I was already in a couple of, NFT projects in, like, whether it be like OpenSea or, in the Solana ecosystem. I've already invested, a good amount of money, in certain projects. Basically, were like profile pictures, right? So, you would think like the artwork was pretty dope, and you're anticipating like, oh yeah, they had a roadmap and everything, and certain, types of upcoming news. And but at the end of the day, simply a profile picture, in my opinion, compared to VeVe. But when you told me about VeVe and told me about how like there's huge brands in the market space, and how like explaining to me like the mint numbers and first appearances and the AR features of all the collectibles, that kind of opened my eyes and thinking like, wow, this is basically what NFTs, this takes NFTs value to a whole different level compared to other NFT projects, right? So
Hmm.
that made me want to invest money into VeVe and dabble in a little bit. And I've already seen so much growth. Like the amount of money that I've already invested in VeVe has already appreciated compared to the money that I've placed into certain projects on OpenSea and Solana. So, I mean, anything I feel like I've invested in or secured a drop on VeVe has made a good amount of money already. And I feel like I'm still way behind
It's
compared
like you
to
can't
like the
lose an app
OGs.
right now.
I know, right? Like, but you at the same time, you don't want to get too greedy. At the same time,
Oh
that's
yeah.
just for me. But anything that you put into VeVe right now, like, it's still early on. I feel like there's still so much more room to grow. Like, and when you compare like the um, current crypto situation right now, where everything's kind of retracing, NFTs and the collectibles in the VeVe space, they're going inversely up, you know? So that just kind of tells you something about like people see value regardless of the crypto space being in a red correction market at this moment, you know? So that just shows how
Yeah.
much value there is in the VeVe space, and it shows you how much people were willing to hold during these times, if not, probably buy more during this, put more money into the VeVe versus take profits and just wait, right?
Well, I tell you this: the VV app itself is independent from Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
people that are buying collectibles, they're not into crypto. They don't know what the price of Bitcoin is. They don't care what the price of Bitcoin is.
yeah,
So they're buying it for the collectibles. They're not buying it because they don't know about the crypto side of it. Like we know about the crypto side. We know about the OMI token, but a lot of people buying into the VV app, they don't have any crypto. They're just in. They put in their credit card. They're buying collectible and they're playing with it in AR, which is great. The entry level is very low for VV. It's easy to get into.
exactly. Yeah. So, but at the same time, it's still, it's still, relative towards crypto, right? Because it utilizes, the blockchain, of course. They're making the transition. So obviously there is some correlation, but like you mentioned, it's pretty independent of the price and the market itself.
Yeah, it's not you know, parallel to the price of Bitcoin. Like usually you would see
Mm-hmm.
if Bitcoin starts to take a dip, you'll notice like depending on which coin it is, if it's further down the line, it'll start to follow Bitcoin a little
Yeah.
after. And so it's a
Yeah.
lot easier to predict like these altcoins. It's like, okay, Bitcoin took a dip. You would realize that, okay, this coin usually follows Bitcoin. It may take like a day or a week before it starts to dip. But
Yeah.
that's usually like the trend they follow is that if Bitcoin's dipping, they're going to eventually dip. If Bitcoin starts going up, they're going to eventually follow it either a day or a week right after. So it's
Right.
easier to predict those trends. But when it comes to these BV NFTs and just the VV platform, like they're completely independent from this. Like, yeah, they have an
Mm-hmm.
OMI token that they're burning and whatnot that you could invest in, but there is no utility for it yet. And so just based off of that alone, the token's not hasn't been pumping like crazy, and these NFTs are completely separate from the price of crypto. So it doesn't really matter like what the price of Bitcoin is
Right.
because every single asset on the VV VV platform and app
Mm-hmm.
is not correlated to Bitcoin, and people are not aware of Bitcoin that are on it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's an awesome thing.
And it's like I'm an investor in general, and like having the VV as a in as another platform to as a way to diversify and stay green in a current crypto correction market, it's kind of nice. It's a great feeling, right? Because you're able to kind of, you know, whether it be take profits or even use it as a hedge in your portfolio. You know, I think VV's great in that kind of sense. You know, not financial advice, but clearly, you know, we're not. It's not like you mentioned. It's not like correlating with Bitcoin itself and stuff. So, what about you? How did you get into the VV, or how did you come across VV,
You know,
or
I've
get into
I've
it?
always been, like I said, I've always been in crypto and NFTs. I started off really diving into like a lot of the projects on the Ethereum blockchain, and you know, I've dabbled into like Solana or whatnot, but primarily like Ethereum is where I've been. And really, I think the first time I heard VV was it had to have been someone left a comment. I think it was on a Gary V video because I was really I watch a lot of Gary V and you know his V friends. I've tried to explain like man these are going to be big too. Like I think it's a really good thing that Gary V was in a way he was starting to you know create like a blueprint as far as how to use these NFTs as utility uses, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
was kind of showing like this is how you should be using your NFTs, and they're not just profile images. He was trying to make that aware to the masses, you know. And I think someone I don't remember which episode or whatnot, but someone mentioned Vivi, and I think this was in like February, and I kind of looked into it, but I was kind of I wasn't like as involved in it because it required fiat, you know, and I'm more into crypto and I'm
Yeah.
not into reinvesting more of my own fiat into the ecosystem. So it was just something that I wasn't interested in as much. I was like, right now, everything that's on OpenSea is blowing up. It doesn't matter what you're buying, you're going to make profit on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like mint price is zero point zero 0.05 Ethereum. And as soon as you know you mint, the very next day you can sell it for 1 or 2 Ethereum. It's like, man, this is like easy profit. You know, it's like everything's blown up, everything's selling out, and the main thing that you're doing at the time is you start trying to get onto these whitelists on these projects soon, and pretty soon when you're on these whitelists now, it's getting so saturated. You're almost like, okay, now you kind of have to follow the project and see, okay, is this project even going to sell out now or whatnot? And
Yeah.
you notice that the market started going down, right? There was a lot of copycat projects, a lot of projects that promised a lot of things that
Yeah.
who knows if they're able to accomplish it, you know? They have these crazy roadmaps and everyone starts using the same terms like we're going to be a DAO, and then soon every project's like we're going to be a DAO, and that's the main thing they're
Exactly.
doing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
pretty soon it's like we're going to have utility uses. You got cyberkongs with these bananas, and it's like, oh, we're doing the same thing. You're going to earn tokens for holding
Royalties and
these
stuff.
Genesis
Yeah.
conditions. Yep.
Yeah.
So everyone started following the same trends, and you know it's kind of hard. Like even now you have like the wolf games and you have like a ton of stuff going on, and you start to notice that a bunch of projects tend to follow the same thing, and they're saying like we're going to do the same thing and have a nice little roadmap that they promise they're going to be able to do things with. But you have to understand like all of these projects that say we're going to create a game, we're going to create this, like man, you need more than just 1 or 2 devs to do this, to create something special that people will actually enjoy. Like
Yeah.
it requires a whole studio, like a whole marketing team, and Vivi has that. So it's like not only like they haven't actually even marketed their project, but as I start to get more into it, and really what drew me in was Marvel. That's what actually got me like, okay, let's actually get in because now they have you know Marvel's on board, and it's like it's something special, you know. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like when I dove in. I think I purchased my first one was probably in August. I think I kind of just tested it out. Like I may have just I think it was Captain America was just the first. ones I started buying, and that was just because um, I
Which
just
one's it?
wanted to
Steve
start little,
Rogers?
see how it was like. Kind of, no, not the Steve Rogers, the actual Captain America set, not the Marvel Mighties.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have stocked up on those since, but this was kind of like, you know what? Let me see what it's about, because this was still something that you could just buy on the market. They still had it available, so I just bought it and fiddled with it,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, this is interesting, and I started watching YouTubers, like a lot of taps, and getting a lot of perspectives from Cavell. Like he provides some really good insight. Like $10 OMI, like yeah, that's way down the line, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen eventually. Let's say it takes 10 years, it's going to happen though, because just because you have the only token burning or whatnot, it's
Mhm.
going to eventually happen with the success of VeVe itself. So just the insight of it, and being a gamer, like it's easy for me to translate that a lot of these assets are the utility uses are great.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Big time.
yeah, man, that really is what drove me into the app, was just Marvel, and seeing how the entire Ethereum blockchain, like, it was getting way too saturated. That's what gave me the time to like take a step back from the Ethereum environment and really fiddle with the VV a lot more. And that's really how I got more involved with it. And then, yeah, man, I started going in and started flipping gems and figuring out like what works, what doesn't work. And I think a lot of my experience in the past kind of helped me with that. So you kind of know like how to look for things. And man, this community is great because everyone provides so many free resources to kind of help you. Like it's crazy. The community is just crazy. Like I can't I can't appreciate the community enough, man. I'm excited for this series just because there's just
Yeah,
so
everyone.
many
Yeah,
awesome people in here.
everyone's super helpful. In providing like certain alpha, right? Like I don't know. I just get good vibes generally being inside, being into the VV space.
Yeah, we just gotta appreciate like everybody, like just the knowledge that every person brings to community. Like man, like comics and cryptos, like they're experiencing like the comic industry, and like just take a moment to like listen to what they have to say and their input on comics and like sleeping, and like they're they like me, like I don't know a lot of comics. I was never a collector, but I know how to do research and or whatnot, right? And just the resources that they provide, and sleeping with the VV rank, like those are awesome tools, man. And then like so many people creating things to help you with drops, like Tapgate, like that's amazing. Um, we have Ecomi Wiki, like that's such a great resource, and having the charts and everything. Like man, this is a lot of work that people put in, because like this requires man hours. People are manually coming in, they're manually punching in their own data, and making this available to the public, man. It's crazy. Like this is a lot of work, and we gotta appreciate it. And I really do, because I understand it's a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. And a lot of people, yeah, just people just invested their time, and they're not like doing it like half-assed or anything like that, right? People are actually doing their due diligence and researching and making sure that people understand
Yeah,
how to utilize this app.
everyone's passionate about it.
Mm-hmm. So and I feel like I feel like we kind of wanted to be a part of that kind of movement as well.
Yeah, like we feel like everyone has something to share, right? And a story to tell, and everyone's good at something. And I feel like I have a lot of knowledge in the crypto space, and I'm really good at um, seeing how a lot of things play out. And I feel like I can provide some good insight, and you can provide some good insight. You've been in crypto for a while now, and you've been through the ups and downs. You can help people from maybe stopping some
Making
people
the
from
same
making
mistakes.
mistakes. Yeah,
Yeah.
or just like understanding, like things can get complicated pretty soon as VV moves to maybe being web based or whatnot. Like you understanding being on like buying NFTs on Solana and OpenSea before, like you have experience with multiple dApps or wallets there. So that's information you can provide to the community that has no idea about crypto. There's just a ton of stuff or information that we can provide and kind of guide people through. I think that just being a resource, just like everyone else has been a resource to us and to everyone, like we can be a resource to other people as well. I think that that's a great thing to feel that, hey man, we can actually help this already awesome community and help it be even better.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure.
Yeah. So
So,
what,
so
yeah,
tell me, how do you navigate through the marketplace, or what would you say? You have any tips? Because I feel like the VV app's still pretty early on and not as
yeah.
intuitive in my opinion. But how do you navigate through the marketplace?
Okay. So Vivi, like I love you guys, and uh, when they released their article about the new UI and everything, the first thing I did, and I'm just gonna pull up the app myself as I looked at this to get an idea. The first thing I noticed is I'm pulling up this app, and on the top already it says collectibles, comics, drops, and brand is already cut off. Like
Mm,
guys, you can make your icons a little smaller at least, so you don't have to scroll to see the rest of the brand. Like there's a lot of changes you can do to your app. Like I know it's a very graphical app. They want to show off their graphics. They want to show off a lot of stuff. And
yeah.
there's little minor changes that I would do to the UI that would really help it. And that was the first thing I noticed was like, why am I scrolling to see brand now? When
Hmm.
it's just four icons on the top and it's not even like large enough to cover the whole thing. But yeah, aside from that, going into the market, I love when they upgraded the market to a listing. Think I'm very analytical, and I
Yeah.
really like that. But the market is still very buggy. The search does not work very well. Having to find your collectibles, like okay, like I'm gonna click on brand, and the brands are list like it's kind of hard to organize right now. Like right now, I see X-Men at the very top. Before I kind of understood it because it was in alphabetical order, and they still had like Ultraman at the very top because they had anime Ultraman, which was also kind of weird because now you have Ultraman at the very top. But now it's kind of weird. You have X-Men, then Voltron, then Universal. It's like the sorting, like you're sorting it from like alphabetically. I guess I had it in ascending order, but now it's like it's kind of awkward because their icons are so large. Like VV is a large enough platform now to where like you don't need to have large icons to fill the page up. You have so much information you need to put on a page now that you need to make these icons a little smaller or make this a list now, or something else. Like why am I seeing Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2, and then you have Batman black and white, and then you have like later on you have like the DC which has Batman as well. Like there's so many things going on that it's really it's getting really hard to navigate through, because the search doesn't work, and if you're looking to collectibles, you're scrolling forever. The easiest way for me to navigate to it is to go to brands, and it's like, okay, why do we have Disney and then we have Disney Golden Moments? Like you need to make subcategories. You need to put Golden Moments inside of Disney and maybe create subcategories amongst it.
Yeah.
Like you just have like DC, and then from DC you can branch out to like Superman or DC Direct or Batman, and from there you can split the series. Like have your whole hierarchy or like the tree of where you want to navigate through to maybe make it a little easier if you're searching through brand. But yeah, I would do that. And like I said, cut these large images. I know you love your graphics; they're nice, but maybe look into like the Disney app. The Disney app is great because you notice that their icons are a lot smaller, but it looks clean. It looks very clean, small but very detailed graphics, and it's easy to navigate through. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for
I
sure.
mean, for that, I've wanted to, and maybe I still will. I've wanted to make a video on, and this is what I think is important because Vivi, I know they listen and they want to get these feedbacks, but I wanted to make a video and maybe even like Photoshop my own layout of, you know what? instead of just criticizing them for doing something, like how about we just provide a solution for it, you know? So I've always wanted to
Yeah.
just go ahead and create a layout as my solution to what they should do instead, because I
Yeah.
think that that would be great. But yeah, I mean, I like what they did. I like how they had it the whole list. What I would have done is that when you do click on the list, it only shows the list. Um, you don't see what you're actually buying anymore. You just see the title. But maybe you could have like a expandable box to kind of like you could pull down or pull up to kind of show your collectible or comic that you're looking at, versus
Mhm.
just having strictly the list, or just the option to change how you want the layout if you want it as list format or in a different format. Because based off of the type of person you are, you may need to visually see things a little differently. You know, like maybe you could change your icon size or something. Because I know some people, you know, they may have a harder time to see like what it is, and they need it to be big. So let's give them that option instead. But for me, like I think I still have young eyes and I'm more analytical, so I like things a lot smaller, and I like as much information on one page as I can get because it's easier for me to get through. But that's my input on that. I like how the marketplace, you don't have to scroll to see brand. You have collectibles, comics, my bids, listings, and brands on the top. You can make that on the home page. Like there's no need to scroll. I think that helps. I like also how they add at the bottom the recently viewed, because really that's the easiest way I get back to the marketplace. There's a list of recently viewed that I go through, and recently viewed is almost like my go-to for me to check certain ones that I continually check on the marketplace pretty often. But other than that, I mean, I think it's great, but still some work they could do with the UI and just the use case of it. But yeah,
Gotcha.
recently
Yeah.
viewed is my suggestion as far as if there's certain collectibles you're always looking at. That's what I would go to most of the time when I'm searching for something. What about you?
The way that I navigate through the marketplace, usually I like to check kind of like my collectibles and make sure that you know, what the prices are. You know, see how I just kind of like to see if my assets are appreciating, or the collectibles are appreciating. See if they dropped or see if I need to buy more, etc. Um, I also have like a favorite list, right? Like things that I'm actually watching and waiting for a particular price to drop to a certain point that I'm willing to buy. Um, that way I can add to my collection, you know, and I'll
Mm,
navigate through that. And then I'll start just browsing through certain brands. If I come across anybody on Twitter who's talked about like a particular type of collectible that hasn't made its pump or anything, I'll go through the brands as well and just kind of browse through and see which ones have not pumped yet. You know, definitely try to avoid looking at certain brands that have pumped, like for example, like the Todds and all the Batmans and all the season ones. Like I try to limit myself by not looking at that brand for so much because I'll probably get FOMO and buy basically buy at the top of the price. But I definitely mark it as, you know, one of the collectibles that I'm willing to, you know, looking to hopefully buy one day as well, or invest in it. So if the price is right for me, at least. And then I'll browse through the comics because I do still see value in like comics. I don't think they have had their run yet, compared to certain collectibles. So I'll browse through the comics and making sure that if there's any that I need to pick up, I'll add to my collection as well, and just kind of slowly adding there. But otherwise, um, yeah, that's pretty much it, really. Just kind of browsing through my save list, my current collectibles, and then looking at certain um, comics or collectibles that haven't pumped yet. So, but
mm,
yeah, I rarely search because the search is not as intuitive and easy to navigate through. So I'll just typically just stick to the categories that they have, and then click on the brands and just go from there, really. But the search button
mm.
is not as I rarely use that. I rarely use that because it's not good. It sucks. Yeah. I'll be honest.
So what method are you using right now? Are you aiming for like low mints, or are you aiming just to buy the floors?
But so generally, um, I'm buying things that I personally like. I like to stick with that kind of rule of thumb, because at the end of the day, I'm the one that's owning it, and I'm the one that has to look at it every day. And if the price drops, I don't feel too bad because I like the collectible itself, right? That way,
Hmm.
it's I see value in my own eyes, despite whether the price doesn't reflect or the market doesn't reflect that kind of perspective. At least I like the collectible itself. I like to stick with that. Um,
Yeah,
and then for the most part, if I see certain things that are undervalued and I kind of like it, then I'll invest in it. But for the most part, my rule of thumb is buying whatever I personally like, and that looks good to me.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go with it. I know low
yeah,
mints are one, and those for sure are going to be the most in demand in the future.
yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
also, I
Like
mean,
first appearances and stuff, like I do account for those and low mints. I try to get, depending on my budget and stuff like that, how much I'm willing to spend for that week, or whatever I'm willing to pay. I try to get the lowest mint that I'm willing to pay. That's within my price point.
mhm.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, but
that's kind of my
if you're
strategy.
someone that's like trying to just do like a quick flip, floors are
Hmm.
first things to go. So if you don't have the budget for a low mint, or it's just out of reach or something you're just working towards, floors are the way to go. If you're looking at a number that's like 9,850, and then you see one that's like 8,500, like just buy the floor, man. That little difference in mint number is not going to make a difference in what you're going to be able to resell it for. So
Yeah,
just keep some of that in mind. Like, unless you're looking at like sub 100s, or like super like 3-digit mints, or whatnot, like you're not really getting a mint that's sought after unless it's like a special date or a special number. So just know that you're buying the floor, and when you're reselling it, it's going to be selling the floor. So what you're betting on is you're betting on the price of the floor. And
yeah,
a great site for that is, like I mentioned before, Ecomi Wiki. That's a great site to see
yeah.
charts as far as how the floor is moving or whatnot, if you're more analytical. But of course, I mean,
Hmm.
everything right now is pretty much in price discovery. You can't really be analytical about it because you have so many people coming into the app and so many people buying different things.
Yeah.
It's like everything's fair play right now. You can't really
Oh yeah,
use
big
TA
time.
for it.
Yeah, you also got to be careful too because you don't want to be buying the top as well. But like I mentioned, my rule of thumb is just buy that whatever looks good to you, and what you see valuable. That's just kind of my opinion, and that's kind of what stuck with me, and it has done pretty well in my opinion for the most part for starting off relatively in the past year or so. So I like it.
Yeah. So my strategy is a little different. Like, I think long term, I see potential in certain characters and certain FAs that I would hold. I don't really care what the price is now because I have a set price that I feel it could go to in a certain amount of time, and that's what I target instead. So if it's like if Todd is at 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000, it
Hmm.
none of it matters to me as far as when I get in, because my goal is to sell Todd when it's 50,000. So it's like if I buy it at 2,000 or if I buy it at 4,000, it doesn't really matter because either way you're making profit. I have the bigger picture of I'm not going to sell Todd until he gets to 50,000. So I don't care like what my entry is at the moment because it's really small right now. Like down the road, it doesn't matter if you're going to be like, hey, I got it in at 4,000, or hey, I got it in at 2,000. That
Hmm.
person's still going to be like, man, you got in early. That's all it is you got in early. Like I would have bought if it was at that price, but no, like I'm people are aware of the prices now, but they're afraid to buy in at it because they're always thinking this is the high, this is it. But how I see it is, down the line, what is the actual price I feel like I could get to, and If it's, substantially higher, I don't mind paying the extra for it.
Yeah, for sure.
2,000, 3,000, 4,000 doesn't really matter because, like I said, it's going to be 50,000. That couple thousand is not going to be that much of a difference at that point.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's how I see it when I invest. Is I show a lot of analysis that I may do at times as far as how I come up with these price predictions and how I figure out like where the prices can go. And when I see a target that I feel like it can hit, I don't care what I enter at because in the end, like if you're always aiming for the very bottom, and I've learned this to crypto, like if you're always aiming for the very bottom, or if you're always aiming for the very top to sell, like you're gonna miss every time. Like you don't always hit the bottom, you don't always hit the top, but you need to understand when the market is flipping, and also need to understand like what your actual goal is for this. Like if it's just something you want to hold just because you like it, like, if you like it, it doesn't really matter. That's what you see all the time, right? It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
you buy it in at because to you, it's worth that price to you. So you'll buy it for that price and you're not
Right.
looking to flip it or anything. If you're looking to flip it, you need to have a plan. You need to have an idea as far as what you're trying to sell it for because if you don't, like, what are you buying it
You
for? Like, what price are you
yeah.
going for?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
you're thinking that the price action of this collectible is just going to be sideways the entire time. It's not always going to be sideways. I mean, for the most part, everything's going up. So everything in VeVe right now is pretty much in a bull market. It's not going sideways. So if you're looking at trying to break down the high and the low and trying to sell and buy every single time in between, it's not going to work out for you, and you're going to miss out. So just be aware of that, and that's why I play more of a long term game. Like I'm not in a rush to sell any of my collectibles. I just kind of stock up, and I have my idea as far as where they can go, and I just I'm gonna hold till it gets there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, we're still early on in the app, so I mean, why sell now for just like pennies and dimes compared to what's to come? So,
Yeah,
let's. What's up?
what are you actually looking to stock up on now? Like which ones are you really working your way towards accumulating more of that you think is going to be something for a long term?
So my for sure is like the comic books. Any of the big name comic books, like whether it be Spider Man, Fantastic Four, um, like the very like the high top tier type comics. I'm willing to hold, just because I think that the ceiling for those are just way up compared to what they are the prices right now. Definitely gonna try to accumulate more of the Disney collectibles, even though the price is way much higher than than what yeah, I think the Disney collectibles for sure going to try to accumulate more of those over time. Hopefully the price action stays sideways for a little bit longer so that way I can grab some more. I think those are huge long-term holds just because I love Disney and the collectibles that they dropped. um, I think I see a lot of value in them later down the road, just because they're so iconic. And what else? I'm not too much of a big Batman or Superman type person, but I'm sure those are going to be way valuable. But I don't think I'm going to try to maybe get at least one or two of those. But right now, I feel like I'm so late in the game in those in regards of those collectibles. I should have jumped on them early on, but like I said, I had that mentality of just buying what looked good to me, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I'm hoping, like I said, with the rumors of like Pokemon, like that's where I'm saving most of my money and most of my gems for, because that's the brand that really speaks to me the most, and that really grew up that what I grew up with. So I'm willing to put more money into that because I value it more so than certain certain of the brands that are out right now. So,
Yeah, Pokemon for sure. Like,
hmm
I know I explained that I didn't have much as a kid, right? I've never been able to have a console or anything unless I was able to buy it myself. And this is the part that really sucked was that one time on my birthday, finally, my mom bought me a Game Boy, and that was because I begged for it for like 3 years or so, and I was always like, man, why doesn't my mom love me? She never gets me anything, I just never understood it back then. I was so young, and they finally got me a Game Boy, and they got me the Pokemon game, and
Which one?
man, I was so
Pikachu,
attached to it.
Pikachu yellow
Yeah, it
or what?
was it was the
Red?
yellow. I finally got
Nice.
the yellow Game Boy and the yellow Pokemon game, the Pikachu,
That was
and
yeah, that was awesome.
man, like I was so into it. I was playing with it, and then we went to we went on vacation in Florida,
Yeah.
and man, I left it there. I was so
Oh, you lost?
heartbroken, dude.
Oh my
I left
god.
it in the hotel when we left, and we started
No way.
driving. And when we started driving, I was like, "Where's my Game Boy?" Like I was trying to play it, on the way back home.
Yeah.
And man, I was like, "Oh, it's back in the hotel." I was like, "Oh, we got to go back." And she was like, "Oh, it's too late. We already gave the key. Like, oh, like we can't get it back." And she was mad at me that I left it there, and I was mad at myself that I left
Oh
it there.
my
I was like, "Oh
god.
my goodness."
I can't
And yeah,
believe.
I haven't been able to get a Game Boy since then. Well, until now, like I went through and I mean, I started getting more into like computer gaming and stuff, and
Yeah, yeah.
starting to work and have my own money and be able to buy my own stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
man, that was like the moment like I started being extra cautious of like everywhere I put my stuff because man, that like broke my heart, dude. Like I begged so hard for that Game Boy just to lose it at the hotel, man. I was devastated,
Oh
dude.
man. Oh man. Yeah, that's crazy. I would have been devastated as well, dude.
Yeah, man, that was it. Like, man, I worked so hard to get Pokemon, and then man, it was gone like that. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't have Game Boy. I got into computer gaming, and what I did was, we started having emulators on the computer, and that's how I played
Oh
Pokemon,
yeah.
man. I had a computer emulator, and I was playing on the computer.
Oh yeah. Nowadays you could easily play that, on certain websites. You don't even have to download the program. So
Man, I've learned so much just for not like having enough, like not having internet, like bro, we couldn't get like AOL or anything, and
yeah.
my cousins had it, right? So I would always go to their house and I see them on AOL. I'm like, man, like I can't talk to like people from school or anything because I don't have AOL. I can't. There's no aim or anything for me to talk on because I don't have this. And I'd go over there and at the time we were watching like wrestling or um, Dragon Ball Z. That's the only time I could go. Like I'd have to go over there to watch it. And I remember waking up early in the morning and walking to their house and ringing a doorbell, and their mom would be like, "Oh, why are you here so early?" I'm like, "I gotta watch an episode of Dragon Ball Z." Getting here like super early. There's not like cell phones. I can't like text my cousin or anything like, "Hey, I'm coming over" or something. I got to go over there and ring the doorbell.
It's
So yeah,
hilarious.
that was kind of crazy, but man, I learned a lot just off that experience of not having much. Like I learned how to get internet when you don't have internet. I had to sneak on like late at night when everyone's asleep and use internet there because I was using up the dial up.
Oh
And not
yeah.
just that, but it was a bunch of free internets I was using. Like I went through like Net Zero and through Juno, and man, I was removing ads, and I got into like StarCraft, and man, I got so competitive in that. Like I learned so much. I learned how to program because my friend and I like we started writing tournament scripts and everything. Like man, I learned so much from it. So I'm thankful for not like being as fortunate when I was younger, and looking at it now, like man, I'm so blessed. Like where I'm at now, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you just kind of learn how to adapt and appreciate what you have, right? So
Yeah, all the traits, man. I appreciate like all the traits I got like from growing up, and like that's kind of like my mentality, which is why like man, I don't drink, I don't do anything. I don't care to go out and go to clubs or anything. Like that's not me. Like I've never drunk, I've never done any of that because just my mentality is like I've I've learned to appreciate like everything I have. Like I don't want to like waste waste my time doing anything, you know? Like,
Mhm.
man, I'd rather spend my time like gaining knowledge and learning stuff. Like, I'm just like so in the zone with something. Like, I'm more like careless about like other things. Like, I'm more like it doesn't like I don't find joy in it, you know? And that's kind of like my mentality on that.
That's, yeah, I mean that's crazy how how growing up has molded you into the person you are now. You know what I mean? So all right, let's
Yeah, for sure.
see. Let's see. We probably have one. Let's do one more question. What would you say? What is one collectible that you're never gonna sell and why?
Never gonna sell. Man, so this is a rough one because there's collectibles I like and there's collectibles that I want to keep, but I know, man, if someone's gonna pay top dollar for it, I may just let it go. I think the collectible I'm never gonna sell is one that's not on the app yet, and that's gonna be when they release like Charizard. I think I'm gonna get a Charizard and I'm gonna keep them, and I'm never
Uh,
gonna sell them. I think that's what I'm never gonna sell. Anything I have now, if the price is right, I'd be willing to sell, you know. But if there's
hmm
one I want to keep in my like collection forever, I think it's gonna have to be a Charizard. Like just having one around that first appearance, I one whenever it comes out, it's
hmm
whenever it comes out, I'm gonna get one, and I don't think I will sell it.
Oh man, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. What about you? What's one you'll never sell?
That's out right now, or that's gonna come out.
Yeah, I kind of
Let's
went
go.
off. I kind of went off with one that I'm thinking is soon to come.
Okay. All right. We'll stick with that. If it is coming out soon or hasn't came out yet, I would say it's got to be Pikachu, man, because I love Pikachu. Growing up, that's all I watched. Before coming home from school, just watching Pokemon, and Pikachu has always been just that kind of Pokemon that's really stuck with me, and I found just I don't know, I just love Pikachu for some reason. Yeah, just the way he kind
I,
of like protected Ash, and like stuck by his side, just been just a good friend. Like that just resonates so much in me.
yeah.
So
I mean, as far as like badass value, I probably would have got a Squirtle, but Charizard, because man, what if they have some utility uses here, man? I want to fly on Charizard's back. Yeah, that'd be pretty
oh
badass.
yeah, that would be
And just
awesome.
having him
Yeah,
around and take pictures with is pretty cool. I think
yeah,
Pikachu's he's more of the cute one. Hey, let me have my kid take a picture with Pikachu. You know,
yeah, yeah,
Charizard is
yeah.
one of those. If you're flying around with a Charizard, you're a badass. You know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will for sure try to cop Charizard, but Pikachu's probably one that I will never sell because it's like a companion, right? Like it's good.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm walking around the meta, the whatever the VV verse, have Pikachu by my
Hmm.
side. I think that's kind of dope.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one that's currently on. Maybe I think I'll keep a Todd that I'll always have is a Todd just because that's always going to be one to show that you've had an original, the first one ever, and I think that alone is worth keeping.
Yeah, how much are they going for right now?
Todd's I think Todd's have jumped up to like 6K.
Sheesh, man. I was looking at them too a couple months ago. They're what under 1,000 or so, maybe.
Yeah, when the Disney drops, like they drop pretty low. I think they're going for like 800 during the whole Disney golden moments, and
Wow,
that was an
crazy.
opportunity to snag if you didn't snag then.
Nah, I
And
didn't.
I
I
bought
didn't take it.
Todd's way above that. I bought Todd's. Um, I think the most I spent was like 1.7K for a Todd, and when I was looking at it, I was like, man, the value has gone down. It's for someone seeing it go down, you're tempted to sell it to invest in something else, and
Yeah.
that FUD just kind of drops the value overall, and it's like a trickle effect, you know. But
Yeah.
you got to understand, like, this is when you start looking long term. It's like there's going to be these ups and downs, but long term, you're looking at it's going to get to this point. So it's like you don't care that it dropped to 800 if you already have one, because there's no point in risking selling it for 800 when you know it's eventually going to go up anyways, and
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
target has not been met yet. So just hold on to it till it hits your target.
Yeah, for sure. That's some diamond hands right there.
Got them diamond hands, man.
For me, it's probably gonna have to be the Disney moments. I was able to get the Homer and Bart collection set, so I have that set. So in my opinion, it's the very first Disney drop. Sure, it's not Disney technically, but part of the whole collection globe golden moments.
It's the first one under
It's
the
the
Disney
first.
license.
It's the first one under Disney license, and I think that holds a lot of value. So that's probably one that I probably won't sell for a while, in my opinion.
Yeah, I actually got a couple of great low mints on drop for that one. That was an interesting drop because a lot of people couldn't get on. Like that was the first one, and they had a lot of issues with it. So
Yeah,
maybe I like that. I mean, I landed a lot of Disney's on drop, but I got multiples that day because people were having issues. So I was
oh
lucky
yeah,
that day too.
yeah, and I think it's the only collectible that has two characters. Am I right or
We
am I
have
wrong?
Walt and Mickey,
Oh yeah, Walt. Yeah, make it. But it's one of the
two
very
FAs.
few that has two. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my kind of long term hold, and I probably won't sell for a while for
For
a particular
sure.
price point. We'll see.
Golden
But yeah,
moments are great, and even right now, if you don't have a golden moment, I think right now is the time because they have not made a big move yet, and I
yeah.
think it's coming. It's coming.
Even though they have since they've dropped, but they haven't had another big leg up movement. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So how I see it is that when it's initially dropped, you start to see that quick pump and dump of prices because you have the the NFTs are swapping hands, from people that are just trying to get that flip to people that are
Yeah.
actually just trying to collect. And while it's swapping hands, there's going to be a period of time when everyone that has one is now a
Hmm.
collector and someone actually wants to keep it. Like someone like me that's like, I'm always going to keep me at least one Todd, or I'm always going to keep me a Charizard. You're going to
Right.
have those people that always hold it because they want to keep it. And when you get to that point, when you're selling to people that are holding it, you are now limiting the supply of people that are willing to sell it. And it's bottoming out to where it's like, yeah, people are not willing to sell it for a lower price now. It's reached a price where like this is the floor price, and no one is willing to sell it below that. Once you get to that point, now you're looking at people coming in and eating these low prices up. That's when it takes off because now you have people that are buying it in. Um, if it's a whale that's buying it, they're buying it not to flip it really quick. They're buying it and holding it for that long term picture. Like they have their target that they will actually sell it for, and so they're buying it for that target. They're not buying it to flip really quick. They're not buying it to make a quick couple $100. So while they're buying these up and scooping these up, you now have people that are, diamond handing these collectibles, and that's what's going to shoot the value up because now you have people that are holding it and not listing it and not selling it. Once you have less people listing it and the people listing it are less willing to sell it for a certain price, that's when
Hmm.
it's going to take off. And, it just takes time for it to swap hands to people that are actually going to hold it. But once
Oh
these
yeah,
all
yeah.
swap hands, the moment it swaps hands and, people start scooping it up again, it's going to go to a whole new price discovery and it's going to set a brand new floor again. And that's what you got to watch out for. That's the ride you don't want to miss out on.
Hmm.
It's not one of those that you're like, man, I should have bought at this and now it's at this price because yeah, if you're hesitating too much and not looking at your actual target on where you want to go with the price, you're gonna miss out
Hmm.
on that ride.
Yeah, big time. I mean, these are small price movements compared to the long term game, right? Like these price points in this range, they're not going to be here for long, in my opinion. And it's just a matter of time, like you mentioned, until the swapping of hands, and then big more money comes in, and big money comes in. So yeah, I don't know. Should, hopefully that hopefully we see that day.
Yeah. So just one last thing before we close out. What's
Hmm.
your advice to someone new into the app?
Don't be afraid to dabble into it. Like I mentioned, for me personally, what's worked is, buy what you like, and anything that you see value in, invest in it. I feel like that's kind of been like my kind of play, and that's worked for me in helping me, you know, be successful in this app. Not financial advice
Cool.
though.
Yeah, and for me, I think what's the main thing you want to figure out is, are you coming into this as an investor, or are you coming in as a collector? And I know you may come in as an investor and end up being a collector, like I ended up being a collector, just initially coming in and flipping so many NFTs. It's like, yeah, now I'm a collector. I'm wanting to have my own collection. And you
Hmm.
kind of have to know what you want to be, because that kind of is going to be your game plan in the
Yep.
app. If you're an investor coming in, like, you want to look at the projects that are going to be in it for the long term. Like, as in the characters are significant characters, and their first appearances. That's what I would focus on. Is the big characters. Like, Batman's a big character. He's a popular character. He's in movies. That's gonna be big. He's a known character. His value will always be there. When the market gets saturated, people are going to go for the characters that they like. And Batman is a character that a lot of people love. And that's going to give him value, along with being the first, and, you know, being in a first appearance or whatnot. Like that's going to matter. So if you're an investor, look into big time characters that will continue to hold value in a saturated market. And then if you're coming in as a collector, just like you said, man, just buy what you like, because at that point you're only spending what you think that collectible is worth. So if you're happy with buying it in at that price, just do it. That's just for you to enjoy. Just enjoy the app. Don't stress the price going up or down. Like, just buy it because you enjoy it and you like that collectible, and
Yeah,
go
for
in with
sure.
that mentality.
Yeah, totally agree.
Sweet. And I guess that's going to be our first episode of Meet the
Meet the
Homies. and
homies.
and we're the first ones. It's CryptoAddict and AFI Crypto. So looking
Yes,
forward to
sir.
bringing a lot more people on here and having everyone share their stories, their strategies, and what they do. Like, yeah, man, let's get to know the community. Let's show everyone what the VV community is about. Just excited for that.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to hear everybody's stories. So hopefully you guys tune in as well. Of course, like the video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for the next upcoming episodes. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, for sure. And before we tune off, it's like we always say, we're all
We're
gonna
all
make
gonna
it.
make it.
See you later, guys.